Hello, Scrufftards. Welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And this has been a busy day with lots of updates, lots of things going on. So, what are we seeing? Well, we're seeing Ukraine pushing Russia back in and around Tetkino. We have some more updates in that area of Tetkino. And also at Pokrovsk, we are seeing Russia aggressively pushing Ukraine back at those crucial locations just west of Pokrovsk that allows Russia to move closer to vital supply lines. Right, so Mayakovsk 73, we're quickly back up in Kursk and Tetkino. Some more updates. As you can see here, Ukrainians are pushing out. The breach here is successful. This is where Ukraine pushed through. They pushed west straight for Tetkino and they moved north. We're seeing these are destroyed Ukrainian vehicles, obviously, but it indicates that this is where Ukraine is operating. They're pushing through. Russia is being contested within Kursk, outside of Tetkino, between Tetkino and the border. So the push through the Dragon Teeth and the minefields here was successful. Ukraine has been moving through with multiple armored vehicles, pushing north into these fields and pushing west and have reached Tetkino. At the same time, we're seeing more updates of Ukrainian soldiers operating here in the streets closest to the border. If we move over to the Ukraine control map, we can see here some updates where you have Ukrainians running around in the town itself. So the push into Tetkino keeps moving along, and we'll see. At the moment, Ukraine has momentum. They have the initiative. Russia is falling back ever so slightly. Over here we have, like I've said before in my videos, a distraction. Russia is moving assets over here to deal with this incursion. That means fewer Russians, fewer support over at Tetkino. Pushing in here draws attention away from Tetkino, while Ukraine is simultaneously pushing in to the town itself. Russia has to divert assets over here. Ukraine has now managed to push through Russian responses to this breach, and they can reach Tetkino and they can occupy Russians here in the north, denying Russia to move in with whatever troops they have up here, or drones or what have you, cannot help out with the fighting in the town. They are occupied up here. This allows Ukraine to now operate within Tetkino. So we'll see how this progresses. This has been a productive day for Ukraine, or maybe this is updates from yesterday. Whatever the case, we can see that Ukraine is pushing in through Russian defenses and are, at the moment at least, contesting Tetkino, and we'll see what the Russian response is. If we move south, we can see more Ukrainian successes here north of Kharkiv. Ukraine had some success here months back when they were pushing up along the dam here. They were pushing in along these windbreaks here on the slopes. This is a big hill, by the way, a huge hill. And now Ukraine has pushed into this forest. They were on the edges here, you can see on the edge, for the longest of time. But now it's confirmed Ukraine has reclaimed this valley. This is a bowl-shaped valley. I can actually show you. Hang on, if we head on over to the ISW map here. Whatever. Let's see here, zooming in on Kharkiv. This is the spot. This is the forest that is now confirmed by multiple sources as being under Ukrainian control. So you can see here when we move the 3D map, this is the big hill, and this is that bowl-shaped valley that Ukraine is now in control of, right? So this is an important strategic and tactical location. It has operational value in the area. It allows Ukraine to build up forces in cover. They can rest, they can store supplies, and build up momentum for the next push. More than likely into this valley here, as you can see, a valley. And it also allows Ukraine to potentially plan assaults into the town of Lyubovka. So a pretty big deal, to be honest. But that's not all, not much else. Maybe there has been some few smaller changes here and there. This looks basically the same at the moment. Ukraine is, what it appears, holding the line. Russia had trouble reaching this intersection. So what they did was push in on the flanks here and Melinivka, and then made that big motorcycle assault out of Tarasivka, almost 6 kilometers into Novo-Olenivka. This isolated basically Novopoltavka, and then they launched a mechanized assault up the center, and they are now contesting parts of the town of Novopoltavka. And it's been looking like this for a while now. Ukraine has been making some counter moves, as one might expect. But the interesting part is Ukraine has also secured some territory here in Lysivka. That should be pointed out. But more importantly, the Vovkova pocket, that Ukraine was making all the right moves for the longest of time, holding Kotlina, holding Adachin. Then they came in north of Uspenivka. They took Uspenivka, came in north, heading for Solona. They were pushing in on Shevchenko and Peshane, trying to reach this dam, which was Russia's only last supply line leading up to Vovkova. Russia was actually struggling for a lot of weeks, a couple of months, trying to hold the line. Because had Ukraine managed to push through at either Peshane, Shevchenko, or Solona, they would have reached the dam, and then this entire pocket here would have been cut off and surrounded. Russia knew this, so they threw in lots of resources to prevent this from happening. And the end result is what we're seeing now. Russia has pushed out from Novovasilivka into Uspenivka, and they have moved from Solona north of the river, and they have crossed a small bridge. Where is that bridge? There's supposed to be a bridge here somewhere. Here, this bridge right here. You can see it here. And that has given them access to the outskirts of Novosarivka. Right? So Russia is pushing westward along the river. Meanwhile, Ukraine is holding strong at the Dachne, but down here along the river, Russia is pushing west, forcing Ukraine back. We have also seen Russia securing Shevchenko. Ukraine was coming down on the flanks of Shevchenko, but then we saw Russia pushing up and having troops getting handled by Ukraine right here on the suburbs here of Pokrovsk. So Russia has managed to secure Shevchenko enough to launch a assault north into Pokrovsk itself. And on top of that, hang on, I'll show you what I'm talking about, so you actually believe what I'm saying. Where the hell is this goddamn Pokrovsk? There you go, right here. This dot, that is Russian troops being taken care of within the suburbs here of Pokrovsk, right? And now we also see this north of Peshane, Russia securing windbreaks outside of town, and Ukraine directing strikes at Russians within the small suburb here of Sverove, just outside of Pokrovsk, right? So after having had momentum and pushing Russia back in vital locations like Solona, Peshane, and Shevchenko, Russia has now turned things around. They're pushing Ukraine back at Uspenivka and Solona, pushing Ukraine back at Shevchenko and at Peshane. They're coming in north and pushing into Sverove. This is an important push by Russia, because if they gain access to this small valley here with the windbreaks and can continue up this way, they reach this part or this region of Pokrovsk, and in so doing they have already cut this supply line, but we'll count it anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 supply lines leading into Pokrovsk. This one and this one has already been cut, since they are fighting right here at Kotlina, but still, that's how important this hub is. And continuing north here, they will cut the last 3, and that means Ukraine will have to rely on supply lines coming in from the north, and that essentially boils down to being this highway here. There are some other smaller roads connecting with it along the way, but this is the main supply line leading into Pokrovsk itself. This is worrisome. That is why it was so important for Ukraine to hold Kotlina and Peshane. But now it appears as if Russia has broken through. We'll see if they can continue the push north to this vital supply hub leading in to Pokrovsk. And that's it, short and sweet, and that's gonna have to be the end of reporting for the 8th. Oh my God, lots of stuff has happened today. But that's it. I'm gonna be busy for a couple of days. Might not be able to make any videos, so keep an eye out on the maps and trusted channels, because something tells me a lot is gonna happen at Tetkino, and by the looks of it at Pokrovsk during this coming weekend. Anyway, that's gonna have to be it. As always, go po marsh Ukraine and give them hell.